Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a topic that's, well, pretty fascinating. And honestly, it might just change how you look at your own brain every single time you open an app. Or, impulsively buy something you didn't even realize you wanted 5 minutes ago. We're looking at the reality of how culture, algorithms, and the whole internet ecosystem are fundamentally programming our thoughts. Because in this world of social media feeds, hyper-targeted ads, and viral trends, there's a rather uncomfortable truth that we just can't ignore anymore. Okay, let's dive into this. Your thoughts may not be completely your own. Really let that sink in for a second. Every single day, there are these invisible forces aggressively competing for your attention. They're shaping your emotions and quietly, almost invisibly, influencing your beliefs. From the quick videos you swipe through to the headlines you just briefly scan, modern tech is constantly learning exactly how to guide your thinking. It challenges a deeply held assumption, doesn't it? As humans, we absolutely love to believe that we're truly independent thinkers. We just assume that our favorite brand of coffee, our political takes, or even a sudden, random urge to take up knitting are the result of purely rational, independent choices. Well, today, we're going to treat the human mind like a giant mystery we get to solve together. We're going to figure out exactly how what feels like a deeply personal opinion might actually just be the result of digital manipulation. Layer 1. Social conditioning. Now, psychology has shown us for decades that we are incredibly influenced by our environment. Long before a belief ever actually feels personal, it gets inherited, repeated, and socially rewarded, right? Children absorb beliefs from their parents. Teenagers get their identity from their peers. Just think back to those high school fashion trends. And adults absorb narratives from their media ecosystems. This whole process of absorbing reality, it literally never stops. And the internet? It hasn't changed this basic human trait. It's just accelerated it to a completely unprecedented level. Layer 2, the viral nature of ideas. And this brilliantly illustrates our next point, memes. Now, hold on, we aren't just talking about funny cat pictures here. The original, actual concept of a meme refers to ideas that spread between minds very similarly to how physical viruses spread between bodies. Ideas literally evolve to survive. A catchy ad jingle or a terrifying headline survives because it's emotionally powerful, maybe it's shocking or highly tribal. The thing is, the most contagious ideas aren't necessarily the most accurate ones. They're just the absolute best at capturing your attention and triggering an emotional response. Layer 3, the algorithmic attention economy. So social media companies basically operate on one massive primary business model: capturing your attention. And to pull this off, they use incredibly sophisticated algorithms to constantly study your behavior. They're tracking what you click, exactly how many milliseconds your thumb hovers over a post, what gets you emotional, and what triggers outrage. Over time, these systems turn into something like a highly tuned digital slot machine, becoming exceptionally good at predicting exactly what will keep you hooked. It is quite literally a massive scale of modern surveillance, all focused entirely on keeping you scrolling. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it reveals the completely customized nature of our digital lives. You probably think you're simply using the internet, right? But the internet is actively shaping what you see. Because your feed is entirely personalized, user A and user B can search for the exact same topic and receive completely different realities. Algorithms naturally create these tightly sealed echo chambers. They constantly reinforce your existing beliefs while completely filtering out any opposing viewpoints. It gets to the point where people are living inside customized psychological environments, totally designed to just maximize their engagement. And this leads us to a hard, kind of unsettling fact. The algorithm does not care about the truth. It only cares about engagement. Studies consistently show this completely wild reality. Emotionally charged content, stuff like fear, tribal conflict, and anger, generates way more clicks and shares than calm, nuanced, balanced information. Because of this, digital systems naturally amplify extremes. Over time, constant exposure to this emotionally intense content can completely rewire a person's worldview, their mood, and, for sure, their attention span. Layer 4, repetition and social validation. Let's move to and see how this builds into something psychologists call the illusory truth effect. It's this crazy phenomenon where the more often people hear something, the more familiar and believable it becomes. It's exactly why a pop song you initially couldn't stand suddenly starts sounding incredible after hearing it on the radio 20 times. Our brains naturally interpret familiarity as safety and credibility. So this means that even completely weak or inaccurate ideas can start to feel deeply true simply through constant digital exposure across millions of screens, videos, and headlines. Now, add to that repetition the sheer power of social validation. We are incredibly social creatures. When we see a post online, what is literally the first thing we look at? We look at the likes, the shares, the comments, the follower counts. When millions of people appear to support an idea online, we feel this massive, invisible psychological pressure to accept it ourselves. Trending topics dictate what society even talks about, and popularity itself basically becomes accepted as hard evidence. The core, reclaiming mental independence. So the crucial point is that awareness changes everything. The very second you recognize that your thinking can be manipulated, you can start building a mental firewall. Whenever you feel a really strong reaction online, just pause and ask yourself, why do I actually believe this? Where did this opinion really originate? Am I consciously choosing this belief, or was it just shaped by seeing it 50 times on my feed? And most importantly, who actually benefits from controlling my attention right now? Asking these questions creates some much-needed psychological distance from digital manipulation. So, here are your actual, actionable defense mechanisms. First, limit the passive scrolling. It really weakens intentional thought. Second, diversify your sources to break right out of those algorithmic bubbles. Third, practice deep thinking without constant digital stimulation. Next, actively try to spot emotional manipulation. Question things that just feel a little too familiar. And above all else, fiercely protect your focus. Which brings us to the ultimate question. Can we truly think independently? I mean, complete 100% absolute independence might be impossible. Every human mind is shaped by some external influence to a degree. However, by understanding the hidden mechanics of algorithms, the viral nature of ideas, and our own psychological blind spots, we can absolutely drastically reclaim our mental autonomy. I want to leave you with this provocative final thought. The modern internet is not just some neutral tool for looking up facts. It's an incredibly sophisticated environment specifically designed to shape behavior, guide attention, and modify perception at a massive scale. Modern society isn't just competing for your money anymore. It's competing for your focus. Your attention has value. Your emotions have value. In the digital age, the greatest battle going on is for human consciousness itself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Start questioning your feed, carefully protect your attention, and I'll catch you next time.